For full episodes of the Diverse Mentality podcast, check the links in the description below. The full video version is available on the main channel, and the audio version is available on your favorite streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. After that, though, the game in WAC 100 went on Clubhouse, and WAC 100, by the way, it wasn't the game directly, it was WAC 100, his manager, insinuated that the game wrote "What Up Gangsta" for 50. He insinuated that.
But you can see why, though, they would say that. Or why? Because the song, how...
Yeah, but it makes no sense at all. It still doesn't make any sense.
Which I didn't believe it, but...
No, nobody believed it. And then Sha Money XL responded in the comments and said, all cap, all lies for attention. That's what Sha... Under our post, by the way, Diverse Mentality's post. That's our response to it.
Good job, Sha Money XL. Shout out to Sha Money XL.
Yeah, shout out to him. He's a beast. Let me play the audio clip, and then let me see what Game is saying.
What up, blood? What up, gangster? Who you think wrote that? I'm gonna leave it alone. Now he just don't be speaking. Bro just don't be beating his chest, bro. He likes a lot of shit. He can beat his chest.
What he say? I sit back. What he say?
He just
Black.
don't,
I sit back.
him.
Twist the best bud. Then I wonder.
I'm just
Come
saying.
on, man. You gotta listen.
We
You
know
gotta
what.
really
Not only that, think before you come up here. Don't come up here on the
Hey,
weird
but the
shit.
thing about it is, look, my nigga, the thing about it is all the shit that, that I assisted my pen with on Aftermath, from Dr. Dre records to being in there with, on the G on the albums and being in there right, at the tail, like the middle tail end of Get Rich or Die Trying. I ain't never said like, yo, I wrote this certain song, or I don't give a fuck about that, my nigga.
What up, cuz?
Hold on, guys.
He did that shit. He guilty
That was
as
the
fuck.
wrong time to use it, but it makes no sense. He did that shit guilty as fuck for what?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I was going to use it a whole different time.
Oh, clear that shit up.
Yeah, he basically they're saying Game was in the middle or the tail end of Get Rich or Die Trying, insinuating that, hey, he had something to do with Get Rich or Die Trying, which WAC 100 saying What Up Gangsta is the worst song to use as an example that he wrote, because we found out quickly, by the way, within minutes of our research, that What Up Gangsta was recorded before he even met Dr. Dre and Eminem. So how could Game write that?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. If he haven't met Dr. Dre and Eminem, how could he meet Game? He met Game through them. So if you haven't even met them, I've never been in the studio with them, how could Game write that? What, did 50 and Game know each other before Dr. Dre and Eminem? No. They have no idea about each other. So, yeah, that was a flat-out lie. We posted about it. There's one of the producers, Reef, he basically said, hey, Sha Money, XL, and 50 were recording songs already for his album. They met Dr. Dre and Eminem. They added those songs. One of them was What Up Gangsta. So they already had What Up Gangsta before they even met Dr. Dre and Eminem. Right. So that was immediately debunked, which obviously not really many people believed it, honestly.
So
and then, what?
Why do they say that shit?
Just to cause controversy and just to
Why?
talk shit. I mean, to be fair, Game didn't officially say it in the audio clip. He did say, though.
Why? Whack, though.
Whack just says shit. And Games, even in the interview, they're talking about how they say shit about each other they don't even agree with. And they just,
yeah.
So it's just to cause up controversy, man. And it worked. I mean, everybody was talking about it. We posted about it.
Yeah.
Sha Money
You're
XL
right.
responded to it. Then going on, there's more clips that were released. One of them saying that the Game gives 50 Cent props and says 50 did more for him than Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. Let's play that. And then I want you guys to listen to the end of it, of what he says, because the end is where the important part of this is. And I'm going to break down this Drink Champs interview of why this even happened and the way it happened. So listen to the end of the Game giving 50 props and saying he did more for 50 did more for Game than Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. Jimmy Iovine, by the way, was the former CEO of Interscope Records, for those that don't know.
If it was 50, Jimmy Iovine, or Dr. Dre, who you think was more hands-on with making the game? Who the game is?
It was 50.
50?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I'm gonna tell you one thing.
That's a man answer.
Yeah, but and it's a backhanded compliment, because
Right.
it's like 50, when we was at it, he was saying like he wrote like my album. Like I really couldn't do this shit on my set by my own, and that's what really started causing tension. And one thing about 50, and 50 will watch this shit and he'll feel away, and he might come on Drink Champs and he might say what he want to say. He'll come back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he might say what he want to say. But one thing about me and 50 is I always respected that nigga Pan and his melodies and everything that he do, and the nigga was a force of nature. But I just want that nigga to know, like, nigga, we equal.
We had like one person to say.
Did you listen to that last part? He said, he gives 50 all his props, and at the end he says, I want him to know that we are equal. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is how this beef actually started. Is the game wanting to be what Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 are, and to be the fourth person in that. Even in the song, We Ain't with Eminem, going, and he even says in that song, me, M50, and Dre racing. He says, like, he mentions him with all three of them.
Yeah.
He's always, even in that song, when I heard it, I was like, he said, me, M50, Dre racing. It's like he wanted to be, you never heard Banks talking like that. Like, hey, me, Dre, M, Banks was just Banks. He was doing his thing. You never heard Buck talking like that. You never heard it was a game that was talking like that. He wanted to be that equal. I get it. He would have been that if he would have stayed humble, respectful to 50, M, and Dre. Eventually, he would have had his own label. He would have grown and become, and Dre would have supported him. 50 would have supported him. 50 even said, hey, man, I don't no problem with these artists becoming bigger than me. He's like, I want that to happen because I don't have to work as much on music.
That position would have came super easy, man.
Yeah, for Game especially. He had it set up perfectly. But instead, Jimmy Henchman got into his ear. Game was young. Game in the Drink Champs interview, by the way, says the whole reason this thing started, at least on Game's end, is that he didn't want to diss Jadakiss and Fat Joe and Nas because he was fans of them. And he actually drove with Jadakiss the day before, and he was cool with them and all that. That's part of it. That's like a little part of it.
Right.
That's not a big – I don't think 50 really gave a fuck that much. I think he cared about that, but it wasn't like – that wasn't the main thing. 50 said it was him going at Jay-Z, him creating all these different problems with people before his album even dropped, and talking all this crazy shit. And then 50 was like, listen, I can't be dealing with this, man. This guy's crazy. He's doing all kinds of things. He's nowhere in G-Unit, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's how I view this. Even if Game was a fan of Jadakiss, Nas, and whoever else, Fat Joe, he was a fan of them, loved them. He's a fan of hip-hop, which is amazing. It's cool. You still got to side with 50, man. Who's helping your career? Who's making you a star?
Yeah, but he did say in the interview, Game was like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, he didn't talk
That's
to me.
cap. He knows he had issues.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. You know you have issues with them people. He knows that. There's diss records already flying at that time.
But he said that I would have, if he would have just talked, I would have just sat back and be like, look, I got to ride with him. But
why didn't he say that in the beginning? Why back then he could have just been like, hey, let me talk to Dr. Dre and 50.
That's the thing. We didn't hear it in the early days.
Exactly. You could have been like, hey, I didn't know. No, back then he would say, nah, man, I fuck with Jada because I fuck with Fat Joe. Nah, I don't care if 50 has no problem. That's what he would say back then. He never said, oh, man, we never had communication. I didn't know they had issues. How come Buck? How come Banks? How come Yayo and nobody else around there fuck with them? They knew. It's not just Game himself didn't know. Come on. To me, that's where I would call, listen, Game, you're capping. There's some cap going on right now because that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
My point in that is this is my example that I was thinking about in the car actually when I was coming here. I was like, this makes sense. This is a good example. Let's just say I don't like Rick Ross, right? I'm not really a fan of Rick Ross. But I'm nobody. I don't have diverse mentality. I really don't have anything. I meet with Rick Ross. He's like, yo, let me put you on this podcast. I got 1 million listeners here. Let me put you on this platform and fuck with me, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I do work with him. But I love 50. I'm a fan of hip-hop. I'm a huge 50 fan, man. I'm like, fuck, man. And I know Rick Ross hates him. Rick Ross is the one that gave me the opportunity. As much as I like 50, I'm a huge fan. If Rick Ross gave me the opportunity, gave me millions of listeners, gave me money, changed my life, I would side for 50 at the time. I would side with Rick Ross at the time.
Still side 50.
No. No, I'm just saying. I'm not. I swear, wallahi. If he gave me the opportunity, I'd be like, listen, man. He gave me the opportunity. But I would never hate on 50. Like how Game said, I would just play neutral.